All right, as you can see, it is just me today. I don't know. Chris might join me. Harud had something unfortunately, so she had to drop out. But I still have a couple of things which I feel that we can talk about. So I decided to go on ahead and continue the stream anyway. Show must go on. So without further ado, this is what I've been thinking, and today it is what I'm thinking. Marcus Cage, I'm your host. There's a lot of things that have been going on, especially with the holidays that I feel could have gotten mixed up and lost. That I feel that we should focus on. Of course, we have the Kamala situation, which we can always laugh about, the pandering. But there are some topics that I would like to talk about. We all know that what was it? The stimulus that he denied it and he didn't sign it. And we can say for whichever reasons he decided to do it. Of course, there's political advantages to him doing either or. So we could always play those different games, but outside of that, what we have to focus on is what he did right afterwards. And I feel like that's a little bit more important. What he did right afterwards is a couple of the pardons which he put through. Those normally don't get as much of attention. They just kind of talk about that he pardoned some people, but we don't always talk about who he pardoned. Two of the people that he pardoned were border agents that were convicted in a court of law for murder on people crossing the border. And so these two men who were found perfectly legal, and we already know how hard it is to get justice. Oh, excuse me. We already know how hard it is to get justice in the system as it is. And the fact that a court actually said that, these people are guilty and deserve to be sentenced should have been a victory, but that is snatched away. So whatever good graces Trump thought he was doing by denying the stimulus, he turns around the next day and pretty much stabs a whole bunch of people in the eye. Then you have him also pardoning Blackwater agents. Same people who, now just this group individually, they actually killed a whole family. I believe only the father escaped with his life, and the youngest victim was 9 years old. And these are the people who are getting to walk free. On top of that, the same company, this Blackwater company, is the same, Eric Prince related to Betsy DeVos. Go figure. Something I got interesting on, I believe it was Democracy Now! They said this year alone that we've had 30 journalists that have been murdered this year. So I found that was something that we should always be aware of as those of us who are trying to put out information and hopefully educate the audience or inform. The three countries which popped out as the most dangerous countries for journalists right now are Mexico, Afghanistan, and the Philippines. So those are just a couple of things that I think you should all keep an eye out on. Something interesting going on right now in Israel that I feel that should be paid a little bit more attention to. They were unable to reach some kind of a budget measure. Oh, hold on. There we go.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, how we doing there, sir?
Hey, I'm just holding up. I saw you were out here doing this thing solo. I thought I would at least pop in on you for at least half the show and take a little load off your shoulders. Keep the people campaign, keep things cracking.
Yeah, I figured if nothing else, I would just go on ahead and give people highlights and some updates on some things and kind of keep it moving. I figure everybody's trying to enjoy their weekend and stuff, and it's still kind of after the holidays, so I don't expect a whole bunch of people to be that freed up. And then you got to remember, we got New Year's coming right up after that, so I mean, I get it. I completely get it.
My birthday is on the 2nd. And so, it's another day, really. It's a day of reflection, I suppose. But people are trying to drag me to parties and stuff for that now because my social life is just on fire now. And just because now I'm like an extremely minor celebrity. Just at least in my.
Let's hear more about it because
Oh God.
I am
Yeah.
more than happy to hear because see what a lot of people don't know, and here's the secret to some of the people who do follow me is I'm like that person who, if you look back in the pictures, he's always in the background.
Yeah.
Whether they know it or not, I'm not gonna drop names, but pretty much everybody out there listens to, they know who I am.
Yeah. I can also confirm this as a fact. You are not bragging. That everybody that knows everybody knows Marcus as well. Yeah. There's at least 1 degree of separation between you and everybody, especially particularly on the Black left, but really kind of on the left as a whole, or at least the media left. And for me, it's just been a busy time because I've been doing stuff for just so many spheres in life, just holding it all down, man. Just taking care of family stuff and getting around the house and getting some tax information and doing the fine. I'm just doing it all, just the all-star. So
hey,
we're going into the new.
Hear you. That's what it's about. You mean you got to get the house in order first, right?
That's right. And next year, I'm hoping we do really good things. Just just everybody as a whole out there. It's been a very rough year, and we've all had to kind of go a little stir crazy. We've had to reevaluate ourselves and what's important to us. But now, hey, take this week and meditate. Get your mind clear. Think about what you need to accomplish this year, and if not even for yourself, who are the people around you? What do they need from you, and how much can you do that? It's a good the last week of the year, because it's sandwiched in between holidays. It's a good time to if you really need to work hard to finish something, you can. But also if you need to stop and think about what you're doing for a little bit, this is a good time of the year to do that and kind of reflect on where you've been and where you want to go.
Well, I feel like definitely just this year in general, with all the things that have been going on, you have to reflect. Think about just in general. Each of us have our different interests outside of politics. Whether it's you're into wrestling, or you're into sports, or you're into movies or modeling, and you have your different interests. And I cannot think of one genre or one subculture that has not had somebody big within that community die this year.
That's a great point.
Just across the board, I feel everybody as a community as a whole I feel like we've all took a gut punch in one way or another. And instead of sometimes just trying to put on the tough face and just, oh, hey, let's just party on through and just power through. Sometimes you just need to just take a breath after that punch, sit down for a minute, just process it all, and then kind of reassess some things. Because I feel like a lot of with especially us in the community of commentating on politics.
Yeah.
We spend so much time studying and following all these different legislations and bills and activism and organizing, and it's a lot of time that goes into that, and oftentimes that comes at the cost of those who are closest to us, whether it's directly a child, a wife, husband, partner, whichever you want to name it, or just family members that are distant, which you normally would call more often or go home
Yeah.
and things like that.
Literally, I called my older cousin. He's 3 years older than me, and I used to just follow him around all the time as a kid. I mean, imagine you have a cousin that's 3 years older than you back then. And yeah, I called him, and this was the first time I called him all year. And it was the damn near the end of the whole year, and we were just completely inseparable coming up in the world. So it's always good to like try to make time for, and it's just hard to do it. And to some extent, social media makes it a tiny bit easier to correspond with your relatives because like all of y'all have a Facebook, and if you want to put your energy into doing that kind of thing, you can. But I think the more valuable connections are like when we're like actually talking to people on the phone or writing to them or anything like that, rather than us just broadcasting all of our minutia and it feel, you know what I mean? It's the interplay that really makes it really last as a memory. So,
Oh yeah, I think it's also kind of that issue we're dealing with the rapid advancement of technology
yeah,
and being able to use it for certain means, and we don't think about it as much for using other means, and trying to make that balance of, okay, I can do a 3 hour live stream, and then it's not that big of a deal if I hop on a live stream with my cousin for 20 minutes after.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have to sit down and set up my green screen and or set up your background and all that. Just hop on the phone and talk to people.
Yeah, listen, I'm not the one to give advice on work-life balance. Oh, you
Neither
know
am
what I will?
I honestly.
Yeah, you know what both of us need to learn as a lesson for 2021. Start saying no. We gotta start telling people no. Like when you start doing this and you're trying to like, even just in this sphere of life, of just talking about politics and activism, uh, you do a lot for other people just on like, hey, do you want to do this? And you're like, yes, and you go do it. And both of us, I think, have gotta be like, gotta close the gate a little bit and start thinking more holistically about like just our ability to maintain what we have going and not burn it out because like it takes a lot to even get where we're at. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
My mom tells me that all the time. She's like, "You're always doing too much," and I listen to her to an extent. I was
Yeah.
gonna do a daily podcast also, and I cut that one.
You could do that, but they would be like 20 minutes, and you would need like an assistant to do the bookings so that when you show up, it's like, hey, your 5 o'clock is here, and it's such and such from Pittsburgh, and here's their deal. Okay, hi, I'm here, and then you would just kick it with them. You could fit that into your life every day, but it's the editing and the uploading and you got to do the booking and like all these other things that go into making the thing. That's the thing that really kicks your teeth in,
Yeah,
like in terms of your time.
it's definitely that's definitely the beast which people don't know that's behind the scenes that
Yeah,
either you kind of make it to that next level or you don't, or you decide that you're going to be content at a certain level or not, because it takes some investment to get that all worked out where you can consistently just crank it out like that,
yeah.
and
Well,
to be quality content at the same time.
of course, yeah. Well, listen, what do you want to do for 2021? Do you want to do more like long form stuff? Do you want to do more matrix type stuff? What do you want to what's your goal for as a creator?
As a creator,
Yeah.
what I am seeking to do in actuality is I'm going to do more short videos on this particular channel. Um, just putting out more short content. I am going to keep the panel, and just like today, if it turns out to be a day where it's just me, I'll normally zip through some news, or if ever anybody else wants to hop in, then we can go on ahead and turn it into a conversation. But my goal is, hey, there we go. We got Sade in the house. How you doing, Sade?
Hello, guys.
What's up?
What's up?
How are you doing with the holidays?
Oh, I'm okay.
Hmm. I figure we kind of have a little panel here, so I figure we can dive in a little bit deeper on a couple of those stories I brought up. I'm pretty sure y'all been following some things also. So, one story.
No,
No,
I ain't been following jack shit, dog. I mean, like I've been watching this news and trying to see whether we're getting these checks, and it looks like we're not. But aside from that, no, I haven't been.
Well, and that's the thing. I kind of like slowly I kind of like speeded through it a little bit. Trump decided, of course, to, exit the stimulus. Well, of course, there was already a bill ready to be put in. Of course, we knew that wasn't going to go anywhere. And so we kind of sit at a push. And what I see more than likely is going to happen is nothing for a while, and they're going to have to come to some form of a compromise, which is going to be higher than the 600. It's definitely not going to be 2,000. And so we might be looking at another $1,200 check. That's what I would see the end game being of this. Now, when we actually get those checks is a different story. I don't know how long that'll take, because you got budget stuff coming up, and they could possibly have government shutdowns. Now they always do the wait until midnight and then come up with a bill that's going to push it like 3 more days or a week or some silly nonsense like that. So I mean, I don't know how all that's going to play out. What do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, I can easily see none of this resolving until Biden gets in. Trump is just like, I won't sign these $600 checks on this foreign aid for China. It's going to be terrible. And so Trump just folds his arms and waits. And Congress is like, we're not giving these people any money. And they fold their arms. And Biden will come in, and then Biden will be like, everybody, let's do 600. And everybody will be like, yeah, I could easily see that happening. Because remember, Biden was out here lobbying the Senate, trying to keep the number low for the Republicans. Like, he was like, hey, let's get it as low as we can get it. Yeah, I think if I had to bet, and I'm not betting, but I would think it's going to be like Biden with 600 next month. Won't that be stinky?
It's going to be cold if that's how it came out. What do you think, Sally?
I don't know. 600 with Biden?
Yeah, that sounds bad. Yeah, tell me about it. But Biden would be able to paint it as a win. He'd be like, "Oh, with Trump, you didn't get anything, and boy, I compromised." Doesn't that sound like a Biden speech?
It sounds like a Biden speech, but that
now, how do you spin that to make it look good, though? How does he get to spin that?
2012, that could have worked, but in 2021,
I know
gonna fly.
They in that 2012 mentality, though. I think Biden is very firmly in the 2012 mentality, and I think the first thing we're gonna see when he gets in here is like, what's his mentality in terms of what he's pushing, and whether that pushback is gonna shake him up. And people were in the streets all year. I don't know.
I think what these people are failing to get is that Biden's not there because we like him or we want him there. He's there just to save a space to get rid of Trump. And that, I don't think is clicking with Biden. I think he thinks this thing is really people believing in him. I don't know what is going on with them, but they don't get it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, he thinks he's conquered the world, man. Yeah.
I don't know how 2022 is going to look like, but it's looking bad.
It's going to look bad. I think it'll look bad no matter what, just because, history is marching, and it's not marching in positive ways, for anybody. But he ain't going to make it better if that turns out to be his attitude, as the news has reported back, behind the scenes, that he's been trying to keep the number down to compromise and political optics and stuff. I don't know.
Well, see, another thing you got to remember about Biden is, here's another scary aspect that you got to worry about. We already know that he's about austerity. And we know that he's talked about cutting Social Security and all those things like that. But here's the other, even more scary side of all of it. Biden is a war hawk. And we know with all the situations that are going on out there, he's going to be more than happy to justify, I need to put more money towards the military, so I can't spend this money on this stuff. And that could turn into being his argument. And he actually followed through with using the military. Now, you know, that we'll just leave it at where that could go. But I just look at, we're in a sticky point with, you know, Joe Biden.
This dude could easily, like I said, I think I said this to you last time I was here. The military industrial complex, like literally, is Joe Biden. Like he works for them. They tell him what to do. Like they are in concert. So yeah, this dude could easily like get arrogant about his approval rating, or something happens overseas and he comes in and there's like a wide approval rating for a foreign conflict. Nobody should be under the illusion that the generals will be in the room and be like, let's blow up X, and Biden's gonna fold his hands and say no. And say what you want about Obama, who was rotten many times, but he did at least, like, there were times where he told the generals, like, actually, I'm the president and we're not like going to go and do X action. I don't think you'll ever hear that from Biden. Have you ever in your life heard Biden disagreeing with Petraeus, or I can't think of one army guy that Biden's like, no, I don't support this guy.
Well, that's the problem with most of these people who are so comfortable with Biden. The one thing you have to look at about Biden, just in general, and I've noticed this across the board.
Marcus, Marcus, can you name a war that Biden was against?
That's
exactly.
Can you name a war that Biden was against? Like,
he pushes. He pushes for it.
My point. I mean, and you got to remember, this is the same guy who looks at wars like it's politics, like it's just kind of games, like these aren't real men and women who are involved in this. Like these are not real cities and towns which are burning down. And so this man is just going to go whichever way the grift says go. And people talk about Trump being a grifter. Trump is a grifter and his family are grifters. But here's the thing you got to keep in mind with somebody like Biden and a grifter at his level. They are never going to be happy. And see, Trump is going to do certain things. Biden is going to do everything to get ahead. Yeah.
It's funny. I love your choice of that word because we use the word grifter too often for like guy at a blog. Like that, like we think of that as like, oh, you're making your money illegitimately. People are just giving it to you. But if you like work for a private military company or you work for the Defense Department, if you're, you know, all these people who, you know, the CIA pipeline from like to becoming a professional politician and policymaker, like how is that not like what is Pete Buttigieg? Is his grift like more worthy of honor than Paul Joseph Watson's grift or any of these people on Twitter that come out their mouth with all kinds of dumb nonsense? They just using the hustle they have access to, and Biden, I guess like most human beings, is the same way. But especially the political establishment in terms of just what value are they giving people as a society as a whole? Not that much.
Well, I just wonder how do they think this is going to play out with, okay, you're going to do all that stuff. You're going to hardly give people any money. You're going to let all these evictions and stuff start rolling through after the inauguration.
Yeah.
And then what? You're gonna
have you heard
all these people in the streets?
I'm not gonna like monopolize. Have you heard Joe Biden talk to the NAACP?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen those? All right, so he told NAACP to their face, y'all won't buck. So we'll see what. I guess we got to see what happens because Biden ain't worried about them bucking.
I don't blame him for talking to them like that. They deserve what they got. They have sold everything about them to the Democrat. That's what happens to you when you have no convictions. That's what happens. So it's good he talked to them. You know what he said to? He said, "Y'all better work with the Latinos, right? We got to start working with the Latinos because we'll become nothing. You know, the black community will have no power."
And here's the thing. And here's the thing which I like about Biden right there, because he's so stupid sometimes.
No, he's not stupid. No, he's telling you what the deal is. Like he's just not. He's not.
But no, hold on. Hear me out. This is why I say he's so stupid sometimes that he's smart. He's saying it like, "Oh, you better go work with them." But what he doesn't realize is, once we actually do start working with them, there's one common enemy.
Yeah.
And Biden's not realizing, okay, go ahead, play that game if you want to. Because right now you have them divided saying, well, these are Latino interests, these are black interests. When you have it all combined and saying, we want all of this now, what do you do then? Because now you got a bigger demand. See, the problem is, if you go back all the way early in the history, right after slavery, the first black men were getting into politics and they were changing things that way. Yeah. And then when they violently pushed them out of politics, then what happened? Then you had the rise of the preachers starting to, speak and get them out. Well, then after that, you see the next group gets a little bit more militant, and then they push that down. And the next group gets more militant, and they push that down. So keep pushing these groups down. And what happens if you don't address what these people are dealing with, then eventually they're going to be right at your front door, forcing you to listen.
We had the largest, in terms of volume, civil rights movement in the last 40 years, and nobody got shit in terms of concessions. So I'll leave it there.
Well, here's
I think that, things are going, this situation, this tension that y'all are speaking to, I think will continue, and will escalate, and I think it will continue at a higher rate than people anticipate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, what do y'all think about the force the vote?
Well, I'm on the side of Jimmy Dore. The funny thing about it is, all the people who have a big deal, especially from the TYT side, all of them all bring up whatever his motives might be. Doesn't matter his damn motives. It does not matter what his motives are. It matters that he's putting pressure on those politicians, and especially AOC in particular. When you said these things out of your mouth, this is what you were going to do when you get in office, and you don't do it, then why are you mad at the people who are calling you out? That's what I don't understand about. Well, I do understand it, because if you don't know, there's a certain group called CAA, which they represent a lot of the people in entertainment, and they do represent most of TYT. Those people are also connected with Joe Biden. They're also connected with Andrew Yang. They're also connected with who else was in there? There's a ton of people who are in there.
I think Weinstein was the CAA guy, actually.
Like half of the View is in there also. Even Alyssa Milano. I think her husband is one of the big time agents of it. So they're incentivized to criticize a certain person who's pushing against the narrative, because what that tells me is when they're all pushing like that and they're all aligned with these people, then obviously AOC must be aligned with those people also.
Listen, I feel like a few months ago, everybody was talking about this guy, Shahid Buttar, who was running against Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco. And a person who was had an astute political eye would note that Nancy Pelosi is overwhelmingly popular in her district. And if you know the city of San Francisco and know that it's a very rich, white, liberal city filled with old money and people sucking up the old money, then you know that Nancy Pelosi is a perfect representative of her district. San Francisco is not some progressive paradise, and a person like Shahid, who is like, whatever you want to say about him, is an activist, is not the kind of person that this liberal bougie city of San Francisco would choose. Shahid raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. You guys did constant phone banks and events, not you guys, but the internet, Twitter, did just constant events and phone banks. And if you criticize, like, Shahid Buttar is probably not our best strategy. There's a woman in Texas named Jessica Cisneros who's running on a Bernie Sanders type platform and is going against one of the most powerful Democrats in the House of Representatives, a guy who's surprisingly, weirdly enough, anti-choice. Is like a abortion Democrat and just a really bad guy and needs a little bit to win because she's a Latino in a Latina district. Maybe we should give it. No, Nancy Pelosi's the face I see on TV, and I'm upset. And if I beat her, then it'll be like a symbolic victory. I'll beat the character that's on television. Nancy Pelosi is a very small symptom of a very large problem because she not only represents her district, she also represents the Democratic Party. You getting rid of Nancy Pelosi is like cutting the head off a Hydra. Like that ideology will immediately replicate itself. Like you were worried about maybe Pete Buttigieg a year ago, and Pete Buttigieg is gone, but his ideology is still in charge. We need to, pick those races for Congress that we are in strategically, and we need to build movements that are able to, before we even start talking about Congress, can hold mayors accountable, can hold governors accountable, can hold city councilmen accountable. Because right now, you live with somebody that's on your city council in your own district that won't do shit about things that's going on in your own city. So, Medicare for all, the vote, first of all, do you think the regular person on the street that's going to be your source of power, like, knows what a floor vote is? Are we sure? And are you going to have like a roll call of like, here are the people who voted? And also on top of those two things, when you talk about like, who do we organize against? Where should our rage go? Who do we challenge? You watch the news on YouTube all day, enough to hear my voice and know it, enough to hear Margaret's voice and know it, enough to hear Sade's voice and know that. You don't know who the Democrats elected in the Democratic Party are that are the pivotal figures against Medicare for all? You really don't? You really need like a floor vote to tell you that? Do you think that the only reason to support it is if you think that it's going to if it's going to galvanize the masses? Like you think they're going to hear, oh, these people voted no against Medicare for all, and I'm going to. And I don't know what the follow-up action is. I guess March. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of this is baked in, and all the political pressure that we're talking about putting on people, y'all did early on. So now I think it's time to find a slumlord that's in your city that needs to get an L handed to him and go and like get together with your friends and do that. Because this Nancy Pelosi's all the way over there, and nothing that she does is going to help you at all. Look at who the president is. Like we are completely shut out in terms of like humanitarian priorities for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I can't agree I can't disagree with much of what you said there. The only thing that I would say is
that sounds hopeless.
Well,
I don't mean it to.
Well, I'll leave it at that. But I look at the reason why that they should have forced the vote is to show these people who are still trying to figure out who the enemies are, who still it's kind of like that woman who knows her man is cheating, but she has to actually catch him in the act. She's already found the woman's underwear, she's found condom wrappers, she's found the numbers and the texts, but she wants him to admit it. And that's what some of these people are. And it's like that forcing the vote puts them out there, and it's like, see, what we've been saying is these people are not going to help you, even in a pandemic. Yeah, they are not going to help you. Then maybe it will actually force them to the streets and correct a little bit more change.
I agree with much of what Brandon said, but I'm still like Marcus. I don't agree with you completely. I think they should force the votes. We need to know who is for Medicare for all. We need to know who is against it. That way we can have, if we want to, we can we can have a strategy on how to campaign against these people. You know, we need to know who is for it. You can't just tell me you're for it and then you go and vote against it. I want to know who is truly for Medicare for all. So I think they should vote. They should force the vote. I'm with Dor on this.
Yeah.
If there's a vote and they know that the people of that district are going to be really fired up and mad if they don't vote against Medicare for all, whoever that person is going to go to Pelosi and be like, hey, I need to vote for this. Can you notch me in on this? And Pelosi will be like, yeah, sure, notch. And she's just going to make sure that it's enough votes to beat the bill. Like
then we know we have to know who our enemy is.
Okay, your enemies will be in super white districts that are Democrats that are in the Midwest and are far away from the people who are going to be really hurt by this. It's going to be people who are 100% sure that they will survive and beat a primary chance. They could be wrong, but I'm just saying like that vote will not necessarily tell. Like there will be people who will vote yes on it that won't win it if it's really down to it. You know what I mean?
But my point is, I'm not just talking about forcing just this vote. I'm talking about that continual pressure on every single one of these votes like that, where every single time. So you're going to have to go over there to Pelosi every single time and play that game. And I don't know how many times that you can get away with it in those certain types of districts. So it forces a new tone. It's kind of like if you have somebody who's always stealing from you, and let's say it's a small amount. Let's say they take $1 off of your counter, and you're like, you know what? All right, I'm not going to trip about it. But you tell them, okay, this has to stop, and they just still keep on taking things. At some point, you have to set a standard and say, no, this is no longer going to be acceptable for business to keep running this way. And it's the same thing with a bully. Even if a bully punches you in the face and beats you down and all that, sometimes just that stand there will make the bully say, you know what, I'll go and find somebody else who's an easier target. And that's how I feel a lot of this stuff is with politics also. They've learned that we can just keep telling them no, or we'll give you this. And what we have is a whole lot of people who are wishfully hoping on different policies and not saying, you know what, I'm gonna stand on this, win, lose, or draw. And if we always take let's not take this fight more like a lawyer would do and try to plea bargain out of it for a better deal down the road, we're trying to play a hustle game versus people who have been there for 30 or 40 years with teams full of lawyers who already know the hustle. And so I feel like the one thing they don't know is blunt force opposition and pressure to their face. When you had the Tea Party, which went against a lot of them, that's what gave them their biggest fights. And most of them were completely unorganized and mostly pretty ignorant of politics. But because they stuck together and decided, we're going to force these issues, you got results. Now, I don't support, of course, Tea Party ideology, but I do understand the tactics. And it's the same thing as if you're a small military unit facing a large force. The only option you have to get anything is to fight forward.
Okay. I mean, look, we just had this seat, this committee seat that AOC was supposed to get on our budget committee, and there was a surprise vote. And if you remember Henry Culler, who held on to the skin of his teeth for his House seat and survived because we were all talking about Shahid Buttar for some reason, called for a surprise vote against AOC. She lost like 46-15. Pelosi was neutral on this subject and just watched it happen. Do you think there's a way to win the committee seat through fighting forward if there's a vote in a room and they say you lose power? Like, I don't know whether should we make a list of those people and can we campaign against all 46 Democrats that
Yeah.
you voted against. Okay. Marcus, do you know their names? What districts are they in? Are they safe districts? Are they hard districts? Do you know it? Like, does Jimmy Dore know any community leaders in any of those districts? Does he know any organizers in any of those districts? Like, I basically, like, just being mad about a situation just in life is rarely enough to give you the results that you need. You also need to have access to material resources. So I mean, yes, like it's like the vote, like I'm not against a for vote on Medicare for all. What I'm saying is it's not going to mean anything unless it's backed by political power. And we just had an election where as a whole, the left got kind of shut out of the election. And I would take that as a sign that we need to like create some material power. And our pressure can't come from tweets because nobody on the Biden administration uses Twitter. Like any hashtag that you guys get trending, nobody's going to see it. So we got to figure out what is plan B.
Well, the plan is what Bernie Sanders was literally talking about, but punked out on. When you have millions of supporters in the streets, that is an army which you can use. And
that's the only way.
Everybody thinks that all of these rallies are okay. It can only be for Walmart workers, or it can only be for Sam's Club or whatever. It can only be things. But why can't it be for going directly at the heart of the beast? You put tens of thousands of people outside of offices day and night, and I guarantee you that starts to make some changes. That's the way things have always been changed throughout this entire nation, by having bodies in their faces. You go back to the New Deal. All of that got passed through protests, through activism, through actual bodies out there. It didn't get done by backroom negotiations on trying to figure out house seats and all. It wasn't all of city committees. It wasn't none of that stuff.
Okay.
It was actual pressure. You look at the civil rights movement. The reason why those laws got codified in is because of pressure.
Yeah. Do you know who's going to those marches? Like, do you know their name? Like, so what I'm saying is when you've got a march and you say, I want 10,000 people on front of the governor's mansion, who are those people? What are their names? What are their phone numbers? What are their addresses? Have they signed up to hear from me? Can I give the order and send 10,000 people out? And what do I need to say to motivate 10,000 people to come out to the streets? Now, that 10,000 people, I know that if I send a message, and anybody in real life, if they send a message, they know 90% of people ain't going to respond to that message. So if you need 10,000 people to be at a politician's house, that means you just need 100,000 people that are willing to go to that politician's house. So I'm saying, if we're saying our goal to do this, we gotta
in this day and age, it's even easier to do that than before. Why do I need everybody's names and phone numbers and all that? I don't need all of that.
No, you're wrong. You're super wrong. What name and outrage? Wait. When Ahmaud Arbery got shot and people hit the streets, do you think people just got mad and just walked outdoors? Or do you think that those people were organized by organizations?
Online, and many people retweeted it. That's how it got organized and put out there. It's not that hard to do.
No, and it is super hard to do.
You think in the civil rights era?
I'll tell you this.
Yes, they were organized because they went to church. Their pastor organized them, Marcus.
I'll tell you this.
That's what they did.
If I don't think we need names and address of everyone to get this thing done. What I think we need, though, is a leader that everyone trusts.
No.
Like Bernie Sanders, he can get thousands of people on the street tomorrow if he wants to.
First of all, you know what Bernie Sanders has? He has a list of everybody who supports him that ever sent him $1.
He has the list. That's fact. Hold on. He has the list. That's fact. But then when he doesn't even have to call people. All he has to do is put it on his Twitter account. And I would say to a friend of mine would say to a friend of his, Every one of Bernie's supporters are not on Twitter. Not every Bernie supporter is on Twitter. It's just maybe 10% on Twitter.
I went to the Bernie rally out here. Majority of the
he can get hundreds of thousands of people on the street tomorrow if he feels like.
Yes,
100,000. I'm betting you.
And that is because those people are organized. When you go to that Bernie Sanders rally, why do y'all think it's 5 people out there with a clipboard? You think they out there because they like the weather? Because they're trying to take people from being
That's what I said. We can do it. It can be done. If we have I think Bernie right now is tired of everyone right now. He's tired of the political system. He's tired of the Democratic Party. So he's done his part in helping them win the, the office of the presidency. But I think he's done with them.
If you don't need Bernie Sanders to do this. Go around like your own neighborhood and find people who care about this and give them a clipboard. I mean, like, I feel like that is more useful than, I mean, like, the floor vote and being mad at national politics is cool. That's all chill. But I don't think that, like, dude, we are sitting here watching people get $0 in the midst of COVID-19. Like,
yeah,
people are dying now.
You know what? Sometimes it's better to have nothing than this nonsense that they trying to. It's better to have nothing. This is nonsense. What they trying to give is absolutely rubbish. Rubbish. What is that? All the money is going to places where I don't know. Why do we have to give $3 billion for or whatever how much are they giving to Israel? How much are they taking to Pakistan? How much are they for what? For what? When you have your people are dying, your house is not organized, but you have some nerve to want to organize someplace else. I don't get it.
So guys,
I don't get it. Yeah, so Bert, look, people have gone 6 months. When was the last relief? When was it?
So
when was the last relief? Was it not in April?
March, April, long time ago.
April, okay.
Yeah.
And people have done fine till now. This would not, and people even, I've been to, when was Christmas? Christmas was like 3 days ago. We celebrated Christmas without this thing. We've been fine. We will be okay. So they need to fix that bullshit and give people something. This is nothing. This is crazy. This is just outrageous. It's rubbish. An Englishman would say rubbish. It's rubbish.
Rubbish. It's rubbish, mate. Listen, it's been March to December, no checks. There's 200,000 people have died of this virus.
Exactly.
Are Black and brown people. So I cannot think of a more painful situation. So why aren't people in the streets now?
Because the Democrats are coming to power and everything is rosy. That's why we know this is going to happen. They're going to shut it down. People are going to go to brunch, and it's starting to happen already. They don't want it. They're going to shut it down. Whatever you try to come out, it shuts you down.
I completely agree with what Sade said. The reason why nobody's in the streets now is because they believe, oh, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to fix everything.
Yeah.
Well, as long as they're still delusional like that, how can we get them in the streets? That's the reason why I want them to start forcing these things right now. If they start forcing these issues right now, then it can start ripping the mask off early, and we don't have to play the nonsense game we did with Obama and wait a full 8 years to figure out how all the crap.
One thing I'll say about this is that Trump, right? He's the most disgusting human being I've ever come across. But one thing that came out of it, people were able to go on the street because Democrats want everybody to know how bad he is.
Mm-hmm.
But that would never happen with Biden, no matter what. Let's see.
I don't
shut them down from the roots in their neighborhood. The organizers are part of this problem too. They will shut everybody down. Everybody's going to go to sleep. And that's the poison with this people with these by their names. They're poisons.
Yeah, and listen, it's very, before I even get to your point, yeah, there's not a good politician or party worth supporting. I don't know, like, listen, if in the case of a Medicare vote, then these people, we're not asking people to come out in support of a politician or party. And Black Lives Matter this year wasn't in support of no politician or party. Those were not Joe Biden rallies. If you were out there and talked to people, and what I'll say is, people assume that the move's going to be like an Obama move when Biden gets in there, and I don't think that. Like, I'm not worried about that. And maybe that's like, I think Biden's going to willingly expose himself and what he wants to do very quickly. And I just think he feels that way because he doesn't think people are going to do anything about it. And I think that he will be very surprised. With or without the Medicare floor vote, I think people are going to be really upset this year.
People will be upset, but they can't do nothing about it because the media will spin it. You know, they're mighty. They're going to spin everything around.
Yeah, definitely no protest against Biden is going to be making the news. So, I mean, it'll be on Twitter, maybe, if you're lucky. And sometimes not that, because Lord knows, like about a month into BLM this summer, it was harder to find that stuff, like getting the algorithm on Twitter. It's a shame. But
I think that's going to change because the difference is during the primaries, he was able to disguise his location many times, not give his location, especially when he was going to fundraisers and things like that. But when you're president, your schedule is far more available, and people are literally waiting on you to come out of the doors most of the time. Mm-hmm. And so when you're the president, it's not hard to figure where you're at. And one person who has, say, 300,000 followers tweets out, you know, hey, let's picket Joe Biden for climate change or whatever. That can easily yield a good amount of people, especially who live in that DC area.
Yeah. Listen, at the end of the day, and I don't mean to say that, in fact, like some of this stuff made me sound like I'm being dismissive of national politics, and I'm not. Like a lot of people are motivated to go to events that local groups hold because of national events. So if it turns out that things go great, I think there will be a lot of energy on the streets, and hopefully that energy can be put into things that put pressure on people throughout the year. Because it's very important that we're doing groundwork stuff and being able to mobilize each other and spread messages and get out to events without necessarily having the backing of like a big corporation. Yeah, listen, laws. By the way, hey, Marcus, let's go into the Matrix for a little bit. Okay. This was a foreign attack.
Okay.
Yeah, like Trump did something to somebody this year, and we don't know what it is. And they said, well, we can't start like a real war because Biden's coming in, and we don't want to like make him inherit whatever beef is going on necessarily. But the fact that they had the skill to put that kind of weaponry in the middle of a downtown, you know, civilization center, and also told everybody to leave. Like who is that dedicated to set that kind of thing up, but also avoids casualties? Like what terrorist would do that? It's literally only a foreign government doing a tit for tat that I can think of that would be like, okay, we're gonna mess your day up with this internet, but we're not gonna kill anybody.
This is what you call warning.
That's a warning shot, bro.
This is that kind of warning. This isn't like the one where they like catch you at the car and like beat you up. This isn't that warning. This is the warning like when you have like a giant mansion and it's all gated with all these guards and you wake up
with a horse head.
With a horse head.
Yeah, somebody sent Trump a horse head this Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on his way out, so I don't know how that's gonna go.
But here's the twist. What if it's not towards Trump indirectly? What if it's towards the government and the military-industrial complex, the people who are really pulling the strings?
That would make me think maybe it could also be domestic. That would be like some that would be some stuff that's way above. Yeah, I think that's like, I don't know what it is, but I'm definitely thinking outside of like a couple of nuts. Like this was organized.
On all these these types of situations like this, especially when we still don't have all the information coming in, you gotta leave all of these things open, because when it comes down to it, you don't know what it might actually be. It could be something domestic. It could be an agent who is paid from a foreign country who is a domestic agent.
Yep.
In which that is, I honestly think, is much more likely, because that way you already know you have somebody. You don't have to sneak in and out of the country because they already live there. They could just move throughout the states. And more than likely, if they are former CIA and spooks, they have multiple identification cards and can move in and out. And other law enforcement might not even realize what they're up to, and just let them walk in and out. And so that's makes it why it's easier for them to get away and not be, caught, or harder to figure out anything. Also, if they find anything, they have people who can backwash the information, whatever tracks and trails they do find, if that is that type of person. So it can get tricky. And then it also could be a foreign government, and they did find things, but they don't want to disclose what they found because it's embarrassing that they were able to slip in like that.
Team Joe's first order of business should be getting people cash relief. Team Joe's first order of business should be healthcare. Team Joe's first order of business should be controlling this virus that's killing people day to day. The Russians, the damn Russians, who gives a damn? Man, you need to, this is what I'm talking about. 2021 is going to be these next couple of years, we're going to,
to add on to that, Kerry was talking about that he's watching Russia and them going into the Arctic, and he's worried about them trying to get resources out of the Arctic. And he's talking about possibly sending ground troops to the Arctic to fight the Russians. And he even mentioned sending some ships around to China to watch them also.
I'm glad Trump is out, but I'm very nervous about Joe, because this dude is this dude is feeling himself way too much.
My God.
For a guy that barely even got in here, he's feeling himself way too much.
The arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
He we going to the moon, we gonna fight the Russians there. Like the Arctic right now in this political climate, you talking about going to shoot somebody over some snow?
You mentioned Space Force. Mentioned Space Force. Good thing you brought that up. Everybody was kind of clowning Trump and laughing about Space Force and all that. Do you know that Biden has money allocated in the budget for Space Force?
Mm-hmm.
Space Force is going to continue. The Pentagon never turns,
and it's going to grow.
Yep.
Now they actually have a training for Space Force Marines. I'm telling you, they're ready. They're ready to bomb anything moving. I just hope that they don't kick off World War III, which I got a feeling that it might be possible that they are just that arrogant and stupid to do it.
Biden is really underestimating the degree to which people ain't gonna put up with all that. Nobody's going. He lives in just a totally
domestically and in other countries.
The guy is stuck in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
What do you expect? This guy's mind is not in the 20s.
So
he's stuck in the 70s and the 90s. Cool.
And I would be remiss if I did not bring this up, which I do almost every show. Chris and Emmanuel can definitely testify to it, but the moment Biden is out of there and Kamala picks her vice president, don't be surprised if Hillary Clinton's name is at the top of that list.
That's not my prediction. My prediction is Kamala is going to let y'all smoke some weed, and y'all and more people than you think are just going to be like, okay, and just going to let her get away with anything. They're going to be like, she for the people. And you'll be like, oh, listen, weed isn't everything, criminal justice. And they'll be like, I'm not even listening, man. So
but my thing is, once Kamala's running things, Kamala's not really gonna be running things. That's what worries me. We don't know who. Well, we already know who her staff is made up of.
Yeah. No, it's Hillary. I don't think Hillary's gonna want that spot directly, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Well, my thing is because that they don't have to go through any elections, and at this point, boom, she's just in there. There's nothing anybody can do about it.
But
there, and
Hillary can.
You know how they've talked about having the two females at the top of the ticket.
Yeah.
Madam President and Madam Vice President, and I'm telling you,
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
not in this America.
What you have the possibility for another, like almost like a Freaky Friday, flip the gender version of Bush and Cheney.
Oh, okay. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You actually have made some really good parallels because Cheney was in some ways Bush's mentor. And the case I was going to make to you is Hillary can go into the White House whenever she feels like it now. So why put on that official responsibility of being the vice president, which is, it's some work. The fact that Cheney was just feeling himself enough that he just wanted to do that job. I think the one difference, and maybe it's not enough.
No,
Cheney,
she wants the tag.
Yeah,
she would love to have the tag. That woman has never slept over that thing. She wants that tag. It's not about a job. She wanted added to her portfolio. She wanted so bad.
I wouldn't be surprised if she got vice president and then, Kamala stepped down after I'm just doing 4 years. I'm going to go back to the Senate.
I
would not be surprised.
Well, listen.
This was all a Hillary Clinton.
And it's going to be latte all over again.
This was like 40-degree chess. And we were all so far behind it.
Let's hope that's not the case. Number one, I was going to say
it's possible. They need to satisfy that craving for her because she's still mad. She ain't going nowhere because it's her. You remember? It's her. It's hers. It's her crown. It was her turn. And somebody came and snatched it, and that's why we're still getting backlashes right now. So
Marcus, if you're Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely say hell no, right? To protect yourself.
But
no,
or
she's not gonna say.
You think she just got her like that?
But I believe that Kamala is so comfortable within the establishment that she doesn't even have the faintest idea that a knife could be coming for her back.
It's not like that. I think she listens to everything. Yeah, she listens to them. Look, Kamala was for Medicare for all until she was not for it.
I see Hillary just like, and no shade to the actress. She's a wonderful actress.
Shade.
But Cersei Lannister, that is.
Boy, she wish Hillary gets a little bit too much wine and she thinks she's Cersei Lannister. But no, I know what you mean.
I'm saying she has the deviousness, the cutthroat. Yeah. Not as well. Remember, Cersei wasn't that smart either.
No, in the book, in the show, she's pretty smart in the show. In the book, she's
smarter in the book.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. I know what you're going for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I can see that she's just so cutthroat and so power hungry, just like Cersei, that she would keep on pushing and pushing. Take any opportunity.
Okay, I think I gotta go. My baby's crying. I'm sorry.
I'm getting out of here too, Mark.
All right,
let's get out of here.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it.
All right, but you know what? Do you got a little bit more time? Because I like this scenario, and because I always thought about I see all of them as different characters on Game of Thrones, and I was wondering
all right,
who you would name as who each different person is. Let's see if we're kind of on the same page on some of them.
Well, this is just being, early to mid primaries. This was the last time I was really thinking about Game of Thrones characters as presidential candidates and things like that. That's like an old podcast episode or something.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Bernie would either be Ned or the High Sparrow, just depending on your thoughts about Bernie.
I definitely would. He would be Ned, in my opinion.
Littlefinger. Well, who's the most Littlefinger of the political sphere? I don't know.
To me,
obviously,
that's Pete Buttigieg. Obviously.
Actually, that's actually really good. Stannis would clearly be Jeb Bush, or no, Stannis is Mitt Romney. Stannis is Mitt Romney, clearly.
Yeah,
Mitt Romney's the most Stannis-like person.
Mm-hmm.
Robert is George W. Bush. Doran Martell is obviously Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there is a Jon Snow in American politics.
No. There's definitely not a Jon Snow.
There's no sense of duty in any real sense in this
world. But I definitely think we have a Elena Tyrell though.
Oh, you're thinking Kamala?
Mm-mm. Elena Tyrell, the old lady.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Is she a left wing or she's? I'm sure she thinks that. Yeah, you know what? You're right.
She has all the money. She has the video.
Yeah.
I mean, she's always like manipulating the power struggle, but never gets her hands dirty.
Yeah. Biden would be her son. Mace. Yeah, Mace Tyrell.
Kind of oafy and stupid. Yes.
Yeah, Joe Biden is clearly Mace Tyrell. We could do this. We could do this forever.
You know what? One of these times we're gonna have to sit down and
we'll map it out.
And we're gonna have to do this.
Yeah. Who's the Tyrion?
Tyrion. Mm.
Yeah. Completely hated by everybody. Great shit talker, but has like the worst reputation. Secretly has a heart of gold. It's probably some radio host. Probably
would be. I'm trying to figure who.
It's
I don't know, because they would have to be pretty clever also at the same time.
Yes.
And so a lot of the ones I think of that come to mind, they're not as
yeah, I mean yeah, listen, that's a very, very high bar. Who are our most demon? I don't know. I can't think of a really demonized political figure.
Who would your I'm trying to think of what's her name, Daenerys.
We're Daenerys.
Who would that be?
It's the people. The people are Daenerys, and we're just wandering out through the desert, gradually getting tools.
Yeah, we're still.
We'll show up one of these. We'll show up one of these days out of the fucking desert.
Actually, I think we're at the part of the desert where, remember the part where she gets like the really bad stomach.
Yeah, and she's just this is what we're doing this year, 2020. We're just eating and shitting all over the desert. That's us. Oh yeah, absolutely. And on that note,
yes, on that note, this has been What I've Been Thinking. The panel. I was joined by my good friend Brandon Buchanan and Sade. I'm so glad to have her join me. Thank you, Brandon, for the fun conversation and the fun debate. You know, it's always fun to have you here, and hopefully you come back next week. You know, you need to actually come over to the political matrix with us one of these times and get into some of these topics.
My birthday.
I'm hoping somehow I'm gonna figure out how to reach out and get in touch with him. But I want to get the progressive soapbox. I want to get a hold of him and talk UFOs, because I know he's big on UFOs. So I think that would be pretty dope if I can.
Yeah, I'm down for that. You send me an invite, and you know it's my birthday Saturday, so Sunday. Who knows how available I'll be? We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Yes, for real.
It might make it for a more fun show.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, you have a good one, and you all have a good weekend.